I recently watched a video where this guy said, describe the color of the sunset behind me without using words. And as I watched that image, all I felt was a sense of serenity and bliss. When I removed words, I felt a deeper connection with the image I was seeing. This led me to think a lot about language in these past few days. Let me ask you something. What does the word sky mean to you? What about friend? Success? What about the word me? Language is powerful, is how we make sense of the world around us. But what if it's the thing that is actually limiting our life experience? Let's explore that today, just to see what happens. Language is the first act of separation. When Adam named Eve on the Genesis, he created the other. From the seamless flow of unified existence, fragmentation began. Words divide our experience into subject and object. It creates a distance, a separation. We tend to attach consciousness to language. However, there are many studies that shows that human babies are actually conscious way before they develop any kind of language. Awareness exists before words, and language might even be the barrier that stops us from developing other deeper, more obscure forms of knowing, such as telepathy. Words are way more powerful in shaping our life experience than we might realize, because the things we feel, we instantly label them with words, and those words then become stories that we tell ourselves and others that slowly shape our personal narrative, our identity. And then we can only see the world through the stories and beliefs in our head. And then we reinforce those beliefs again and again with new stories every time an emotion comes up. I want you to try and observe how your mind takes you to know narratives. So the emotion comes and you're probably like, yeah, of course that's gonna happen to me because this and that. And even if those stories and narratives are very negative to us, they reinforce a negative behavior or negative self-talk, or they lead us to places we don't want to be. We keep doing them because that's how our mind works. It's interesting because instead of simply experiencing our emotions, we instantly tag a name to them, and then we no longer see them for what they are. There are so many layers in words and stories that we attach to it, and the emotion that could just pass us by stays. Something else that I realized that words play a big role in separation is in our personal relationships. We live in a world of words, words, words. Look, I'm surrounded by books. So we tend to believe that connection in relationship comes from so many conversations, exchange of information, and of course, that plays a very big role. But if you've ever experienced a very comfortable silence with someone you love, you know that this feeling is incomparable to any conversation you could have. Shared silence can create a way deeper intimacy. It can communicate feelings of trust, safety, acceptance, way better than any words can. And even if we try to fill every gap with words and overthink what we said, what was the right thing to say, nonverbal communication carries more weight. 55% of our communication is body language. How we move, how we see, how we express, how comfortable we are. The other 38% are the vocal elements, the tone, the speed in which we communicate. And only 7% of our communication are words. And both in situations where we're actually talking or we're in silence, the unspoken reveals what language actually conceals: vulnerability, try being in silence with someone you love. If you're not used to it, it will feel uncomfortable. It's very vulnerable. Now try being in silence with someone, looking in their eyes. There are beautiful practices in Tantra about this. I once went to a Tantric retreat. I'm a very open-minded person and I love to experience different things. And I remember the first practice we had was walking around the room with strangers you've never met before and looking in their eyes. And once they asked us to stop, we had to look in the eyes of the person in front of us for I don't know how many minutes. And for the first few seconds, it feels uncomfortable because you never saw that person, you don't know anything about them, and then you keep looking at them. And then you realize there's a soul, there's a whole universe there, and the silence, the connection through your eyes, says so much more than words ever could, especially with people that just met. We tend to stay on a superficial level with people we just met, and even with people that get close to us, we always have some kind of barriers, either to protect them or ourselves. And it was such a beautiful experience because after a few minutes, as I looked into the stranger's eyes, I saw them as a very pure soul, a child, a curious child in the world, and vulnerable, a soul that needed love, acceptance, safety. And I saw myself in there. And it was a very transformative experience. After that, I came to realize that I never really felt comfortable in silence with people. Even with people really close to me, I always felt like I had to fill in the gaps. And it was quite transformative, and I take that to every relationship in my life now. And I suggest you explore that with the people you love. It can be friends, a lover, or your family. And let me know how it goes. I want to talk to you today also about spirituality. If you ever had a deep spiritual experience, be it connecting with Source or God, or having a vision, or going to deep meditation, you probably experience a sense of unification, of we are all one, I am connected to the whole, I am connected to Source, to God, to the cosmos, whatever experience it was. And when you try to put it into words, it doesn't really do the job well. You can't really express it properly. And many have tried, and I read those texts and I identify, I understand, yeah, I went through something similar. However, the feeling is so deep, it's so intense, of complete connection with the whole, with everything around me, everyone, way beyond what I can see, that the idea of putting it to words creates separation. And for that reason, it can't really be defined, because once I name it, I create the illusion that it's separate from me. So I am the subject and I had this experience. And here the experience is that, when that's actually an illusion, because from the experience I just had, we're all deeply connected. There is no subject and object. There is no separation. And when I try to explain to friends what the deep spiritual experiences I had were like, words like peace, alignment, serenity, wholeness come to mind. And those same feelings come when I remove words from an experience. Just like I said in the beginning, as I watched the video from that guy asking me to describe the sunset. Yeah. In this channel, I'm eager to create a community of curious people that like to question things, explore things, and keep an open mind. Hopefully that's what we're building here together. So, same thing can be done with language. I want you to get curious about silence. I want you to get curious about how it plays inside your mind when you stop labeling things and you stop creating stories around things. And at first, it might be quite hard to even be aware of it happening. But as you practice awareness, as you practice paying attention to the flow of your mind, it gets easier. So I want you to get curious about that. Get curious about the stories you're telling yourself, and get curious about the possibilities that hide in silence. Especially because from silence and boredom comes creativity, comes authenticity, and connection. I want you to do more things in silence. I want you to be more careful with the words you say. Not because you could be saying the wrong thing, none of that, but because with the silence and the space you create, so much more could be conveyed. And if you're open, I want to invite you to do a practice with me. Next time you feel a big emotion, I want you for only 60 seconds to just feel it. Don't label it. If it's similar to anger, don't call it anger. Wait for it to develop inside of you, for it to flow, for it to express. Just observe it for 60 seconds. If you're close to your phone, set up a quick timer. Can you do that for me? Just to see what happens. It's interesting to be talking about the power of silence and how language limits our experience with words in a video on YouTube where I talk. So let's end this one properly, shall we? Thank you so much for staying with me. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and to stay curious, just to see what happens.